Yes, welcome back. And today we're just going to do a short video continuing on from last week's theme of expansion and contraction. So this concept of, in Japanese, tai no shinshuku. Shinshuku means expansion, contraction. Basically refers to good solid hikite retraction, scapular retraction. And as we pointed out, in Sosai has his three important points of kata training: waza no kankyu, the timing of technique; iki no chosei, breath control; and chikara no kyojaku, the relative points of power stress. Sometimes you're relaxed, sometimes you're fast, sometimes you're strong and fixed and stable, and all these are very important. Now, with Funakoshi Gichin's book, The Master Text, he points out his three traditional, where Sosai was influenced: the waza no kankyu, the time of the technique; chikara no kyojaku, the points of power stress; and the third one is tai no shinshuku, or the expansion and contraction of the body. Now, last week we demonstrated all that, a lot of techniques, particularly the blocks: contract, expand, expand, contract, expand, contract, expand, contract, expand. All these movements have this leveraging of power through contraction and expansion, primarily around the spinal muscles and so on. Now, today what we thought we'd do is give you just a couple of examples on the mat and on the floor, the groundwork. And I think it's very important for karate people, of course. Sosai's This is Karate, book number, chapter number 15 is all about groundwork. And as Sosai says, if you get taken to the ground by, in his time, a judo player or a wrestler, and you don't know what to do, well, then you're in big, big trouble. And that doesn't change. There's a saying along the lines in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that, blue belts to basically rule the world. And if you have your blue belt in BJJ and you find yourself in a situation with someone who has no idea about grappling or wrestling and so on, you pretty well...
You can do okay.
You can do anything you want, really. And karate guys don't want to be that person that doesn't know anything, because you have to accept that the principles of striking and punching are range 1 and range 2 skills. They only work at a certain distance. And if your opponent knows how to close the gap, come in very close, then everything changes. The flip side is, if someone is very experienced in that closer range and they know how to bite, they know how to headbutt, they know how to eye gouge, well, the grappler then, the sports grappler, needs to know how to deal with the realism of that as well. So it's a never-ending story, the eternal quest. And I think that's very important, that we share a couple of principles on using the expansion and contraction in just 2 techniques. One of them is an arm bar across the body. It's a technique that all karate guys should know how to do, not only so you know how to do it, but also you know how to defend against it. And the other one is when you take someone's back, what's important about that. Anyway, let's say good day. Gaz, it's nice to see your name pop up. Roland, congratulations on your grading. Well done. Rochelle, all the way from Canada, thanks. Craig, nice to see you. And Marco, how you going? Thanks, guys. Appreciate your presence. Now, don't forget, if you're watching and you're one of the 2 people in the world who hasn't signed up, what is it? Subscribed. Hit the little bell, all that sort of thing. It'll help us. We're doing very well. We're on path for millions and millions and millions of subscribers. Anyway, we're going to show you just a couple of techniques now, so give us a sec to set up. So here we are. Let's say, for example, we're in this situation. We find ourselves on the mat, and it's not a lesson on how to get someone down or anything like that. What we're doing here is we're looking at ways to use the expansion and contraction of the body. In other words, leverage. What is leverage? Leverage is using more and more of my body against less and less of his. Okay? So by using the expansion and contraction of the spine, you are literally engaging the strongest, longest lever in the body, the spine. Okay, so here we are with the armbar. There's a lot of small detail about the armbar. It's very important. Everyone does it slightly differently. If you have a gi, it's done differently again. But anyway, the most important thing to remember is I need to sit as close as I can to my partner's shoulder. I'm going to get lever control. I'll take this off. I'm going to sit as deep as I can under the shoulder. I'm going to get control and go back with the armbar. Now, I'm going to come around this side so you can see my leg work for a second, because it may very well be in a side control position here, and I want to go to armbar. Okay? What I'm going to do is come in and watch this leg. I'm going to put this leg along his body. See that? My foot is next to his head, my knee is next to his body. Okay, and then from there, I'm going to take this leg over his head and sit back, squeeze my knees. Now, if everything goes well, I come back here and there's my armbar. Okay, if I sit too far away, it's a lot harder to get the position. If I sit even further away, I have zero chance of finishing it. So it's very important. Sometimes you may find that you're too far away. First thing you want to do is get as close as you can under the shoulder. Squeeze the knees. The way I do it with my arm, I usually use the bottom arm here on the shoulder. I find that sometimes when I squeeze my knees, I'll even get a tap there because it's so tight on the shoulder. See that? Mitch is about to tap. That's without even working the armbar. So that's very interesting, isn't it?
Of course, yes.
Okay. Now, where we're going to use the expansion comes in here. Mitch is no fool, so what he does, he connects his hands in one way or another. Has a strong grip here. It may be that grip. It may be that grip. It may be a number of different grips. Okay? The important thing to remember is if I use my arm to fight it, I'm using one arm, not just in H2, but the entire chain of power in his body here. So using the principle of expansion, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stay here like this, and then I'm going to expand, expand, expand until I come back. Okay? Sometimes he may take a different grip. This is called the Gable grip after Dan Gable. I like to just reach over and grab that far side elbow there. But once again, I don't want to just lie back and use my arms here. What I need to really do to get leverage against a strong opponent is, look, I'm expanding my whole body, and I'm not holding his hand on purpose, because if I did, he'd have to tap. Okay. And if he has the grips, this foot, by the way, can sit underneath or it can go over. It doesn't matter. If he has the grips, here's an excellent example of how you can use expansion. I'm simply going to put my heel in his elbow joint and body into an expansion. And then the